Yes?
It is working,
One,
yeah.
two.
It is
1, 2.
recording. And so to because it is not the first episode, it is our second episode.
Well,
We
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
And we just did an episode with Nate last week on Thursday, and it was really cool, and we enjoyed it. But we now have come up with a name for the podcast, which is the Breakout Room.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
the idea when I was thinking about the name was that since we are in a prison, we can relate it to the prison of our brains, and we have to get out of it through thinking, through processing, through reading.
Sure, but another way to think of it, of course, is when you have these big business conferences and whatnot, then there's always the breakouts. And the breakouts are smaller groups
Yeah,
whose whole focus is either to focus on some type of topic or more so innovate
yeah,
and create and think, right?
yeah,
So it's kind of cool. Yeah, you got the whole prison theme and the breaking out of our minds, but also bringing it back to kind of a business perspective,
yeah,
and breaking out and focusing on something. It's the breakout. It's the focus time.
yeah.
And now you get to focus on me today. So
Yeah, of course. First, I would say that we really appreciate that you give your precious time to our podcast.
sure, for students always,
Oh, yeah, thank you.
especially some of my more enjoyable students.
Yeah, oh, thank you. Yeah, for those students that are listening to me, you are not enjoyable. So, now the thing is that, yeah, we really appreciate it. And so since you know that how Persian customs work, I now want to randomly open up Hafiz with
Okay.
the thing that you did in Nowruz.
Yeah.
Yeah, so first we should have an intent in our mind, each of us an intention, and then I click on the button and it randomly gives us a poem that we can then interpret it into what Hafiz thinks about our intent and what he says about that. So
Okay.
yeah, so just have something in your mind. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, so now we have it. What happened to that? Yeah. Yeah. So it says that now, if you want to do something, do it now. And don't rely on your friends or your enemies. Just focus on yourself and start doing that. Which kind of resonates with what we do, because we just told you yesterday, and you were like, yeah, let's do it, and now we are recording it. So it kind of
It's fascinating because I've literally, this stuff always blows my mind every time you guys do this to me. Because literally about an hour or so ago, I told a student almost exactly that. Because the student was, this one promised me, that one promised me. I said, you know what? In my life, it's always been, I want to always be out there supporting people, and I love to mentor students and things like that. But at the end of the day, while I always accepted the help of other people, I never relied on it. I always wanted to create my own success.
Yeah, that's
right. And the student was asking me about that because they were saying that, so many people have promised them things, and sometimes yes, sometimes no. I said, well, you know what? You have to build your own way through life.
Yeah.
You can't wait around. Sure, we want to help each other, we want to support each other, but at the end of the day,
Not rely on each other.
yeah. If you're going to say, well, something didn't succeed in my life because of someone else,
No.
you're playing the victim.
Exactly.
You're playing the victim. That's not.
Yeah, so just do whatever you want. If others join, that would be better. If not, just keep doing that.
Got to rock and roll.
Yeah, rock and roll. So students here pretty much know you, but I have some friends and others that are going to listen to that. So I'd like you to introduce yourself to them.
Sure, Bela Sandor. I am of Hungarian and Irish background, but born and raised in the U.S. Although I've been around the world, I've lived in the Netherlands, I've lived in the UK. I currently live in Hungary in Budapest, but I've spent time all over the world. You know, half a year in Paris, half a year in Azerbaijan, traveling kind of all over the place. Haven't made it to Iran as much as I'd love to, because I really want to see, especially some of that turquoise architecture. I really, really want to see some of that.
Wow.
But of course, you know, challenging times. But hopefully those things will change. But that's a little bit about my background. As you guys know, I've got a 40-year career. I've been senior management at Cisco, for example, where I created 2 business units for them globally. Since then, for the past about 7-8 years, I'd say I was independent, doing a lot of advising companies on how to create business success. And nowadays, of course, a lot of that's centering around AI and how do we use AI to create business success. And of course, I'm teaching at the university, which is probably the part that I most enjoy, because it gives me feeds the soul, if you will.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it
I
also
agree.
gets the mind going more than anything else. But because, boy, you guys can really give me challenges
Yeah.
sometimes.
In different
Yeah.
ways. Yeah.
We have some experience from Johan Carifa. This give us a lot of stress to doing that project. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. I hopefully that's gonna work for me in the future. But
Yeah, sure.
I'm still envious that I didn't get that one, but yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's our
yeah.
chance.
Yeah.
No, I think just to for your listeners to understand what these two are talking about is I've had the both of my project management class, and the latest project was something for the Johan Cruyff Arena, where the Ajax plays in Amsterdam.
Yes.
And Kia, of course, was in the previous class and didn't get
Yeah,
that
unfortunately.
thing. So he's envious.
Yeah. I got a walking tour, which
You
was
got a walking tour.
which no one participated. Yeah, but
Here we go with the victimization again.
well,
You have to create your own success, man.
Exactly.
yeah, of course, but
Yeah.
at least we tried and we could run it. So now we want to move towards the path that. What was the turning point for you that you realized that you are in the right track and you are now becoming big, successful? Or
Well, I'm not sure I would call myself big and successful. In my mind, I am, because one measures success in their own terms, right? What is successful? What I consider successful is not necessarily what other people consider successful.
Yes, exactly.
But at the end of the point, what was the turning point? There were many turning points in my career. It's changed many times. So I never really understood this linear path career, where this is my career and this is where I'm going to end up, and I'm going to go straight. And it's like agile, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't work that way.
That's a good example.
But for me, it's always been whenever what I do turns into work, it's time to change, right?
Oh yeah.
So I always find it difficult, and I understand the reasons for it. But for me personally, this concept of having 2 lives. So there's the 9 to 5 life, and then there's the everything life. And at 5 o'clock, I switch from one life to the other.
Yeah.
I can't get my head around that. And I know people need that, and that's fine.
Yes.
But for me, it's what I do is who I am, and that's my life. So just like
Yeah.
You know, you guys have heard me. You guys have been sick of it in class talking about where I talk
No.
about my family and I talk about my wife
Yeah, that's cool.
and,
I
and,
mean,
and things like that, right? Because that's part of my life.
Exactly.
And at home, you know, I also talk about, you know, the students and everything else. And my wife many times has helped me come up with ideas
yeah, that's so
for
nice.
things to do in class and things like that. And um, and so to me, it's I don't have two lives.
Yeah.
And so since I only have one life, right? Whenever that life starts becoming boring or starts becoming work and not
Yeah.
life, it's time to change.
Right.
And whether that change has just been a new job or a different direction or you know, a few years back when I was, you know, given the opportunity to take my huge experience in career and now give that to students,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
at my age, I said, yeah, sure. I've always wanted to try it. You know, I'll give it a try. I didn't know how much I would love it, right?
Exactly.
I mean, because the teaching is one thing, and all the frustrations when you guys don't show up to class and things like that, and
Doesn't
you know,
resonate with
all
me.
the all those
Well,
frustrations. But at the same time, when the students come to me for career advice, mentoring advice,
yeah.
you know, how did you handle such a situation? I'm at work and I have such a situation. How did you handle it? And things like that. Or I've got a great idea. You know, how can I take this idea and do something?
Right.
You know, and that just fills me up, right? It just fills up the soul,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Being able to do that. You know, and to me, this is kind of my give back period of life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I do it.
It's
Right?
really great.
I could be doing other things, but you know, I want to. You know, life is for living,
Yes, exactly.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
You have to live life, and if you're in a situation where you are finding that living life is work, time to change.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's either a different job or it's a completely different direction, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm getting into this whole AI world and how to use AI in business and all that kind of things, and fascinating, amazing, amazing stuff. Very scary stuff, but you know, it's reinventing myself for I don't know the seventh or eighth time.
That's really
Yeah.
good.
The thing that you taught us for me was like we have finite game and an infinite game.
I love that.
Yeah, and you have to try to play infinite game with compete with yourself.
Well, so you play the game that you're most comfortable playing.
Yeah, yeah. For me,
Yeah,
that
sure.
is infinite game to compete with yourself because you don't have to
Yeah,
prove
yeah.
someone that you're good or bad.
Should
You
I,
just-
for the sake of your listeners, should I just quickly explain what you're
yeah,
talking
of
about?
course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's the concept. It doesn't. Oh, I can't remember right now on who first came up with it. His name eludes me, but the whole idea is, you know, there's an infinite game and there's a finite game, and a finite game is like any game, sports, right? So there's football. You play for 90 minutes. You have rules. You follow the rules. Whoever has the most goals at the end of the game wins the game.
Yes, exactly.
The purpose is to win the game. The purpose is to beat the other the opponents.
Yes.
Whereas in the infinite game is not about finishing the game. It's about continuing the game, and it's about um, keeping it going. The rules keep changing. The rules are static in a finite game. The rules in an infinite game keep changing. The the game over if it ends. The game is over when one side quits,
Yeah.
not when one side is beaten. And the ultimate goal is not to the goal of the infinite game is not to beat the other one, but to beat yourself and to better yourself. There's an old case study back when the two Steves ran Microsoft and Apple, and there was fierce competition between them, and Microsoft. I think somebody did a study about 70% of every sales presentation mentioned at least once how they were going to beat Apple because they were playing the finite game.
Yeah.
But Apple, Steve Jobs, forbade anyone ever to talk about competition.
Exactly.
Right? You were not allowed to talk about Microsoft in your sales presentation. You could only talk about what Apple did and how Apple's going to become better. And every year he charged all the thousands of employees at Apple to be better than they were the year before, to do something better than they've ever done before. And they were competing against themselves, not against Microsoft. And we see what the results were.
Yeah,
Right?
we can see.
So am I saying one is better than the other? No. It's everybody lives the kind of life they want. I'm with you, Kia. I'll live the infinite game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my next question would be, in your opinion, if someone wants to start a thing like us that are starting like a podcast on a weekly basis, do they need to really think that through beforehand, or
No.
they have to be open to it? Just
No.
start it and then they adjust it.
Absolutely. You need passion, right?
Yeah.
First and foremost. It's like the work thing I was talking about earlier, right? You need passion. It's not work. It's something that you need to be passionate about because you've got to get through the times when you don't want to do it.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
it's like going to the gym, you know. There's just those days you wake up, you just don't want to do it, right? But you
Yeah.
need that passion to push you through. And, you know, it's the old Nike thing, just do it,
Just do it. Yes,
right?
exactly.
You know, obviously don't overcommit and things like that. You know, and especially in startup phase, there is a certain amount of, you know, just sell it and figure it out later kind of thing, within reason, of course, because you do need to deliver at the end of the day, because you do need to deliver quality. But first and foremost, have passion for what you do. Just do it. Get out there, do it. No excuses, do it. Don't wait for anybody else. Don't let yourself become a victim, anything else, just do it,
Yeah.
right? And quality,
Yeah, quality. Is a
right?
good one.
Yeah.
There's no point, if you're not going to be the best that you can be, then why waste your time?
Yes, exactly.
It's just a total waste of time, because what happens if you're not the best that you can be, then somebody else is going to come along and they're going to be better,
Yeah.
and that's going to mess up your passion.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And it all starts from passion, right? You got to love what you do, and you got to do what you love.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Easy,
I
right?
believe, yeah.
Yeah.
In theory, everything is
theory,
easy.
yeah,
In
that's,
theory, but in action, it is.
And be agile.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So,
Can we talk about the topic or?
just last question for this would be, in your opinion, how we can get this podcast something big, something that,
improve it, for example.
you know, our goal is kind of to just give people some ideas, just to think a bit with themselves. Yeah, and maybe it would be a new perspective to hear from us, our ideas and our guests' ideas. So,
Yeah, guys, it's simple. First of all, you've got to create following, right?
Yeah.
So you got to network. You got to get people to follow you. You got to like it. You know how the social. I don't need to tell you guys how social media works. You probably know it a lot better than I do, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to innovate.
yeah.
You got to be different, right? Remember, and you know, you both had me recently, right? Remember, think different.
Yeah.
The old Apple slogan, not
Yeah.
think differently, think different.
Exactly.
Always think, what can we do different? How can this be different? How can this be interesting? How can this be exciting?
Yes. Don't
Right?
follow the past way that everyone, for example, they do it in their career, and
Yeah.
try something new.
Yeah,
And challenge yourself, for example, is something.
absolutely. And by the way, I know you guys are not big fans of it, especially you, but ask AI to help you give you ideas. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I ask AI, but some people just give everything to it and just get some random outputs and just
No,
wanna.
you got to iterate. You got to back and forth. And
Yeah.
have a talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should.
Right.
try
So,
it.
but you know, for sure, right? and keep doing that.
Yeah, yeah.
So every time you come up with some innovation, break it.
Yeah.
Right? You know, that whole disrupt thing, you know, that whole break everything thing, right? Do that. Break the mold. Have fun, right? And innovate in this world where everything is changing so fast,
Yeah, yes,
right?
exactly.
And you know, to me, also, what goes hand in hand with passion is compassion, right?
Yeah.
So we want to, you know, we want to make a difference, right? And certainly students always want to make a difference, right? It's why you're here at university. You want to make a difference in the world, and that doesn't stop, right? And let that also drive you, you know. And by the way, and innovate like that, okay? But be careful, don't become a victim, right?
Yeah.
You guys know it, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of issues going on right now in the world, right? And we can deal with it two ways. I've actually sat two of my students down, and I had to have conversations with them. I get it. I know what's going on back home,
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
right? And it ain't great for them there, but they're still going to work. They're still going to school. They're still innovating. They're still creating. You know,
Yeah, everyone keep going.
it's a really really wealthy place, right?
Yeah.
And you know, if you're gonna use that as an excuse here, you're letting yourself become the victim,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
right? And we never want to be the victim,
No.
Yeah.
right? So when we have compassion as part of our passion, make sure we're making a positive difference.
Yeah. Also, to me, I view it as like what is happening is out of our control. So it would go into circle of concerns. And what we can do to be proactive is just keep doing what we do. If we wanna like read the news, or if we wanna keep watching TV to see what is happening there, it is gonna be a just waste of time because we cannot control it. We don't know 90% of this. It is happening without us knowing.
Yeah.
But you know how you use your time, right? The way you use your time, because you're right? Some of this is a waste of time.
Yeah, yeah,
But how you use your time is exactly what you guys are doing.
yeah,
You're here at university, right?
yeah,
You're building something, you're learning things. And these are the things that wherever life takes you, wherever in the world, because I highly recommend going, you know, greatest thing I did was travel the world, right? And see
Yeah.
cultures and everything else. And it really changed me. But, you know, if you end up back home, whether because you want to go back home or your life takes you there or whatever, at the end of the day, what you want to do there then, isn't it, is that you want to contribute. You want to help build, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
You want to drive change,
Yes.
you know? And to prepare for you to be able to do that, that's why you're here,
yes.
Yeah.
right?
I agree.
And that's what it needs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what every country, every society, every culture needs.
Yeah. To just take the initiatives and just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but to create positive change.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now I would like go into a bit of psychology because we both are fan of psychology. Oh, before
Funny
that, I
that
wanted
I've
to.
never noticed.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, before that, yeah, that was, for example, on Wednesday, I was at a storytelling event. It was really nice. And it was gonna at the end of it, and I was just asking to go on a stage, and I was just promoting our podcast back there. But yeah, so many people were surprised because I said that I raised my hand and said I want to be on a stage, and the performance was, why we are wrapping up, and I said, yeah, I want to be on a stage. I want to say something, and then she let me go there, and yeah, I was just with a QR code. I said that, scan this thing. We are gonna do cool stuff, and you can follow me and follow what I'm doing. And I see like only 2 people getting out their
That's
phone.
two more people.
And then, yeah, I said that I see that you are not taking your phone out, but yeah, I don't care really. Yeah, but yeah, if you want, then you can ask me for my ID.
Yeah, but think about it, right?
Yeah,
If it's two people, right?
yeah,
Those people tell two people.
yeah,
Yes, exactly.
That's now six. Those people tell two people,
Yeah,
and so on and
it's
so
grow
on,
up,
right? And that's the way it works, you know.
yeah.
yeah.
Gathering a lot of member after I
Yeah.
don't know,
Yeah, after, if we keep doing that,
few months.
maybe happening sooner than later. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so the third thing, psychological thing, would be how we as humans perceive people in work environment and in our social lives. Because now with social media, there are some uh, misinformations out that, for example, people are always so deceptive, so bad. It is being spread out in this way. And what I'm seeing in the society is completely the opposite. And as you once told me, everyone is trying their best to be good enough. So it is one advice that you gave me. And yeah, it is really like that. But yeah, I want to know your opinion about
So you
it.
know, it's funny. As you guys know, I've been, you know, really early in the commercial internet. I was one of the very first employees in the commercial internet, and this was really at the beginning. And about a year or two into it, is when the first browser appeared. The World Wide Web appeared, right?
Oh, nice.
And we're thinking,
Wow.
this is amazing, right? This is going to change everything. This is going to democratize the world. Everybody has a voice. And we just thought this was just going to be an absolute game changer.
Yeah.
Little did we know, you know? And the first time I saw Facebook, I'm thinking, wow, this is
Yes.
just really amazing stuff. You know, again, this is going to change everything. And the problem is, it's a really odd human trait
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
we immediately, instead of using it for all the dreams that we had, we immediately just use it to complain. Remember, it's so funny because you're coming to. I've been talking about victimization,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then suddenly here we are, and that's what everybody's doing. Everybody, you know, and then you watch this stuff and you're thinking, you know, man, everybody just hates everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then what you realize though is, no, the way it works is the haters are loud,
Yeah.
right? The lovers are not,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
I agree.
And so what happens is you find you get this thing effect, this speaker effect, where this loudspeaker effect, where or bullhorn effect they call it, where everybody thinks that everybody hates each other, but it's just a group of
Yes.
loud people,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And the problem is with all of this is that that's now also gone into the political spectrum,
Yeah.
right? And so that's why you're seeing so much of these really odd political situations all over the world.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, you know, the important message, and this is why podcasts can be really cool,
Yeah.
because somehow we've got to get out there, and the lovers got to have to start getting loud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
The lovers got to get louder than the haters,
Yeah. Always.
right? But the lovers are not sitting in their apartments
Yeah.
behind a computer screen. They're out there living life, and that's why they're not loud. Because the haters are the ones sitting behind their computer screens with nothing else to do in life other than troll,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just comments or.
And so that's why they're the loud ones, because the lovers are out living life.
It's the easiest thing to do because no one knows who's behind the who's on the account, and yeah,
Exactly.
you just write some hate comments, and yeah, it's as easy as
On
that.
the other hand, we can see the AI, the create a, I don't know, career for the anyone have one.
Yeah.
For example, in China and Japan, we can see that we have a lot of streamer. That's for example, there are a lot of beautiful girl with
Yeah.
I don't know, blue eye or something like that. But after I think 2 or 3 months, the government said that all people that, for example, pay or donate money with for their stream, they actually create the whole character and a whole story
Sure.
created by the AI,
Yeah.
and no one can recognize that that
Yeah.
girl is not real.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's really
Yeah.
scary thing. I think that's
Well, it's
So
scary,
often-
but at the end of the day, again, just like the internet, right? We've got to find all the positive ways
Yes,
to use it,
exactly.
right? It's here. It's not going away. AI is here. It's not going away. So the question is, how do we use it, right?
Yeah.
And how do we live with the fact that it's here, right? If we sit around and say, oh, well, because of this problem, that problem, then we're victimizing again,
yes.
right? And what we want to do is we want to say, okay, well, like for example, what you guys are doing,
Yeah.
how can we use it for good,
Yeah.
right?
That's a good vision. That's we can have. Everyone can have it, and
Yeah, exactly.
as far as you said to us, enjoy your life.
Yeah,
Yeah. But in the end, like those who are strictly, who are strict, have fixed mindset, are not gonna hear you out, are not gonna change their mindset, and it will lead to confrontation.
why will it lead to confrontation, right? Because if they're not going to change their mindset, that's fine. They have every right to do that. You know, we're all humans. We all have our rights. But I also have the right to walk away.
Yeah.
Yes,
I don't have to deal with you, right?
Yeah. But
There are students. I mean, you know, some students like me, some students don't. You know,
They're us.
and that's fine, right? And they have the right to do that. And if they want to interface with me, and I'm happy to do so, right?
Yeah.
And if they don't want to, that's fine too. That's absolutely so. But it's also like that for me. I don't need to deal with people I don't want to deal with, right? And I'm
Yes,
certainly not going to I'm certainly not going to waste time worrying about it,
yeah.
right? My life's too short.
Yes.
Yeah, but I also wanted to add a line of Persian poetry that is
Okay.
from Saadi. It says that the peace of both worlds lies in two words: kindness with friends and tolerance with enemies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which is really true. I think. True. I think. But we too don't have problem with confrontation. Yeah, I mean, people that have been in the same team with me know that I don't have any problem with confrontation. If they don't wanna, if they want to confront, yeah, that's
But-
all right.
Think a second about that line because I really like that. Right?
Yeah.
But think a second about that, and you know, you guys wanted to talk about a little bit about business and about
Yes.
career and all that.
Yes.
Think of reread that,
Mm-hmm.
but in the context in your mind
Yeah.
of business relationships,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
right?
oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
or right, or companies I choose to work with and companies I don't choose to work with.
Yeah.
I'll tolerate those kind of companies I don't choose to work with,
Mm-hmm.
but I will enjoy working and collaborating with those that I do work with. Same thing in career. Same
Yeah,
thing with relationships at work.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
The lines still apply.
Yeah. The thing that I do is, as soon as I follow someone new, I immediately send them a DM on Instagram or wherever. And usually, most people are not used to that. That instance like connection. So yeah, of course there are some people that I've texted them, never texted back. There are also some people that I've texted now.
That's
we
obvious.
we have good relationship with them. And also some people that were not that nice also. So yeah, whatever they do, I have done my part. If they want to, they can.
And that's
So,
fine. And
Yeah.
you know, they don't need to
Yeah.
connect with you, and you don't need to connect with them. And
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You
know.
have your life, and they have their life, and
Yeah.
the goals that every human, I can say, that they have in their whole life, it's a different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For example, we both study business psychology, but our goals and what career we want to have it, for example, in the future, it's I don't know, but maybe 100% is
Different, yeah.
different.
But think about it though, that you know, think of your life as a book, right? And every time you meet someone,
Yeah.
it's another name that goes in that book,
Yeah.
right? And it's another name, it's another person that becomes part of you, part of who you are, right? So now, do you want to fill that book full of negative energy,
No.
right? And that book becomes a tragedy, or
Dramatic.
or do you want to, or do you, yeah, or do you want it to be a romance,
Yeah.
or do you want it to be a comedy?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, my life's a comedy, man. I'm having fun.
Oh, that's
right?
that's so
That's
nice.
good advice.
Right?
I like
And
it.
so
Yeah.
if you think about it, you wanna really fill the pages with the good voices,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? And you want the negative voices, the negative energy, to just be a name in the book, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But you want the positive names to be a paragraph in the book, to be a page in the book,
Yeah.
to be a chapter in the book.
Chapter in the book. Yeah.
Right? And that's why you spend all your time with the positive energy, because the negative ones have their names are in your book,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Unfortunately.
But you just want their name in the book,
Yeah.
Not more than that.
not more than a
Yeah,
name,
well, yeah.
Yeah.
right?
That's really cool. Yeah.
And your partner and your family, your children, they're the ones that are the whole book, you know. And you guys know you guys know everything about my family and my boys and my wife and what a great relationship I have and everything else. Because again, you know, my work is my life, and you know, I don't separate that. And you know, that's my book. You know, and every great student that I meet is a paragraph in my book,
Wow.
right? Because that's me. It's the book of me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to use that. And
Yeah.
it's a real good advice to look at your life, look like a book, and yeah,
Keep the negative ones as just a name in the
yes,
book.
exactly.
No more than not even a sentence.
Run away from the negative name.
Not even a sentence.
Yes, exactly.
Also, in the book of those students that are your good students, you are also they have a paragraph about you also.
Yeah,
'Cause-
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. You know, and we've talked about it, and I don't want to go too much into it on such a public thing, but we've talked about some of, you know, when we had the biggest failures lesson, right?
Yes.
You know, and everybody's always surprised about, you know, how I talk about things, and that is a big negative chapter in my book, but it's just a chapter,
Yes.
Yeah.
and I've got a lot of chapters.
Yes, exactly.
And I've got a lot to say. Unfortunately for you guys.
Oh, that's good.
That's yeah.
1,000 chapter, I think, at least.
know.
But if you learn something from it, yeah, why not?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. So this is, again, this was that whole discussion about
Yeah.
the biggest failures lesson, right? Is that the key to failing, because we will fail, we will make mistakes. Sometimes we will have big failures.
Yes.
But the key isn't the failure. The key is the what we learn from it, right? And how we take that and we use that failure to become the foundation of strength,
Yeah.
and that's the key. And like I said, we all make
Yeah.
mistakes. Again, remember the
Yes.
Steve Harvey thing where he said, "Look, a baseball player gets paid millions of dollars
Yeah.
for a 300 batting average. That means every time he gets up to bat,
Yeah.
every 10 times he gets up to bat, he only hits the ball, not out of the stadium. He
Yeah,
only
this-
just touches the ball 3 times.
Get them.
So 7 times he misses
Yeah.
out of those 3. And in the 3, 2.5 times he just touches the ball. Yet gets paid millions of dollars.
Yes, exactly.
And you're sitting
for,
there saying,
for
well,
three touch.
'cause that's life. Because what do they count? Right? What matters? What
Yeah.
matters is the time when it's gone out of the stadium. Right?
Yeah.
How many shots on goal? You guys, do you play any football?
Yeah, I follow it really.
How many shots on
Passionate
goals do you
goals.
take versus actually how many times does it actually go in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes
Right?
you took like 30 shots and not
Which-
one of them is goal. Sometimes you take one shot as.
Which one do you
that is goal.
remember?
Which one
Do you remember the 30 misses or the 1 goal?
No, one goal
No.
exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it depends on the person, but me
But by the
personally,
way,
no.
you can't get the 1 goal without the 30 misses.
Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
It's that simple.
yeah.
Oh.
So, now we move to a part that we have with all guests, which is a topic of your interest or something that you want to share with listeners and with us.
Well, I think you've already heard an awful lot of
Yeah,
a
we
lot
want
of-
more. We cannot get enough of that. So,
yeah, you know that we like to have
Yeah.
good advice from you and
Yeah.
No,
learn a
it's-
lot of
it's,
things.
It's not a matter of, I like to say I don't give advice. I just try to spark what's already in you, right?
yes.
Because you're not me. You're not writing my book. You're writing your own book,
Yes, exactly.
right? And all I like to do with students or mentees, because I do a lot of mentoring, as you know, and all that, is just help people find out their own ideas and their own passions.
That's so nice.
Don't write my book, write your own book.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
great.
is that it all?
That's all.
That's all,
That's
yeah. So the last thing would be that again we did it the last episode, but we are gonna do it again. Which is what has inspired us a bit in life. Can be a book, movie, series, quote or something. And I want to start with Ali because the last episode we didn't get enough time to
Yeah.
work on that and talk about that. So yeah, what has inspired you?
I think I told you in the last episode that I saw a German series called Dark, and
So
on
another
that,
one. If we talked about that already, another one.
yeah, I can say Interstellar. I think the chapter that they have in another universe, and they know that, for example, in 1 minute on that planet goes, for example, 5 years or 10 years in Earth, and they told me that time is gold.
Yeah.
You should know to how manage your time. Actually, I can say everywhere and anywhere, anytime. That's yeah. Just that.
Yeah.
What about you?
For me this week, I would say another concept that Bela introduced to us, which is try to become anti-fragile, which is which connects to learning from your mistakes. It is nothing wrong with making mistakes, but it is wrong when you don't get a lesson from it.
and do it again.
But yeah, and do it again. So first time is never the problem, but if you don't reflect on it or don't think about it, you are really likely to make that mistake again, which then the blame would be on you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what about you?
Oh, that's simple.
Yeah.
Many things have inspired me, of course, over the years. But there's nothing more inspiring, at least for me, than when my children were little, right? And you'd walk into their bedroom after they go to sleep, after you finally get them to go to sleep, especially here in Holland in the summertime and when it's midnight and the sun is still out, and you're thinking those kids are never going to get to sleep.
No.
But anyways, they fall asleep, and you look at them and you say, have I done well for them today? Has my day deserved them and their love?
Yeah.
End of.
Yeah,
All it-
that's
and
right.
that, what a driver that is, at least for me,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
right?
really cool. and
Huge
amazing.
driver.
Yeah.
So for me, that's easy.
No. Well, we
I
cannot
hope that
experience it now,
we
but
have,
yeah.
we
Yeah, you're both looking at me like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
in the
Yeah.
future, maybe.
Yeah. But
Uh,
finding a meaning into life is really important. So if you can find a meaning for yourself, it will define your life in a really better way, and you can grow more.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, that's it. And again, we really appreciate your presence
Yes.
here.
sure,
Thank you for
To
absolutely.
us, it means a lot.
yeah.
Well, you know,
and-
I'm always here for you.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
but-
It's really appreciated, and thank you for give us some time.
Yeah, and you know what I always say, guys?
yeah.
Rock and
Yeah.
roll.
Rock
Rock and
and
roll,
roll,
baby.
yeah.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, that's a good. I never forget that word. Rock and roll, baby.
Rock and roll,
Yeah.
baby. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's it, I guess.
Okay, thanks,
Yeah.
guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.